Years ago, I was attending what at that time was called the Spiritual Growth Workshop. It's now called Equip in Orlando. And it's a workshop that goes on every other year, and there are all kinds of classes and things that are available. And we were there the first night, and whoever was up in front of the audience, he had the brochure that had all the classes listed on there, and he said, just look at that. He said, what it boils down to as you look through that is if you cannot find something that speaks to you or applies to you, then you're just not looking. All right? Well, I thought about that this morning because the reality is here at Pleasant Grove Road, if you can't find a way to get involved, you're just not looking. There are so many opportunities to get involved in the work here. Mike mentioned some today. Your bulletin is full of them. But also, I wanted to call attention to two, just because we have some time restraints on signing up for them. But we do have two things going on here very soon that I want us to be thinking about. First is our Look Who's Coming to Dinner. That is coming up here in a few weeks, and the information is in your bulletin. It is a program. This is going to be our second time to do that, where you simply sign up, and then you find out the day of where you're going to go to dinner. There will be a host family. You will go to their home. They will provide the meat dish or the main dish, and everybody else will bring sides, and we just come together. We get surprised as to who's going to show up for the meal, and we just share in a meal together. The last one was a huge success and was just wonderful. We were able to spend time with people that we don't necessarily see very often, or people that we didn't know as well as we might others. And the reason why I wanted to mention this is we need you to sign up now if you want to be a part of that. The forms are available in the foyer as you leave. That countertop that's right there as you go out the door, look to your right or left, there, the one in the center. There is a box there or a basket. There are some forms there. Fill that form out, leave it in the basket. We need to know who all is going to participate and be a part of that this go-around. So please let us know if you're going to be a part of that, and we encourage you to do so. The other thing is, we mentioned a few weeks ago, we presented a new program that we are starting in February, and that is our family groups. They're going to be small groups that you'll be, if you choose to participate, you'll be assigned to a small group, hopefully that's close to where you live. We're going to try to do it in geographical areas. But you will, on the fourth Sunday night of each month at 5:30, you will meet at someone's home that's a part of your small group. You will have about a 30 to 45 minute Bible study and discussion that will be led by your group leader for your group. And then you will spend some time in sharing refreshments or a meal together. Each month we'll do something different. But you'll just share in time in one another's homes. I want to mention, I had a couple of people say, well, Bill, I'd like to be a part of that, but I really can't open my home. It's not big enough, or I'm not in a situation where I can open my home. Please don't feel that in order to be a part of the program, you have to open your home to have the small group. We will have host families that will be primarily opening their homes up for the small groups. If you want to, then you can just let your group leader know. If you want to use your home on an occasion, you can let them know, and they can always put you in to host it at your house at some time. But that's not required. And we just want to encourage as many people as who will to be a part of these small groups. This is an important part of the growth and developing unity of the body. And so what we need you to do is to sign up. There's a sign-up list on the bulletin board, and if you are willing to and would like to be a part of these small groups, please sign up on that on the bulletin board so that we can get those groups organized. We need to choose our group leaders. We need to get the groups divided up, and so we're needing to know here within the next couple of weeks who all is going to participate. So we encourage you to be a part of that and to sign up on the bulletin board if you plan on being a part of that program. With all that said, let's get into our lesson this morning. You know, when I was a child, I always thought it was fun to keep secrets. I just always loved when people would tell me secrets because somehow I just thought that was a special thing, right? I wasn't that good at keeping them, to be real honest with you, but I loved being told secrets. Now, at some point as I got older, it went from being a special thing to being a burden. You know, you reach a point in your life where you really don't want people to tell you secrets. You know, you just kind of prefer that they don't share those things. But a secret is information that is only available to a select group of people, right? It's information that only a select group of people know about. Now, back in 2007, there was a book that was published. It was called The Secret. Oprah Winfrey, as a matter of fact, was she still had her television show at that time, and she spent a whole week focusing on this book and how amazing this book was. At this point, as of today, over 35 million copies of this book have been sold in the United States. Now just think about that. 35 million copies. And this book is based on the concept that there is a universal law called the law of attraction. And so whatever you focus on and you think about in your life, if you focus on it enough, if you think about it enough, it's eventually going to come true. In other words, what this book says is you can manifest your own destiny, right? If you want something bad enough, just focus on it, think about it, and you can make it happen. And doesn't that sound awesome? Doesn't that sound great? You know, just this idea that all I have to do is just focus on something and it's going to be a reality. And so now we know the secret, right? We can control our own destiny. That sounds awesome. The only problem is it is based on a lie. You know, this book is based on the idea that we are all universally dissatisfied with our current lives. We all want something better, and so therefore we're all striving to achieve something more in life. And so all we have to do is focus on it, and we'll have it. You know, it is true we do live in a world of dissatisfaction. You know, we never have enough. And we kind of live in this idea that if we can just find a way to get a little bit more, if we can just find a way to get a little bit more in life, we want a little bit better job. We want a little bit bigger house. We want our clothes to just be a little nicer. We want a little bit more money in our bank account. We want to just get a little bit more, and we live in this world of where we're convinced that if we can have just a little bit more than we have, then we'll be happy. You know, then we will have arrived. If we can just get a little bit more. Well, today we're going to talk about the secret to that. We're going to talk about the real secret to living a happy life. The thing is, it's actually not a secret at all, because it's actually been, the answer has been in the Bible for hundreds of years. It's been there for you just to open up and read. The secret has been available to everyone. It's really not a secret at all. We just haven't taken the time to really apply it to our lives. The true secret to a happy life is found in Philippians chapter 4, verses 10 through 13. Philippians chapter 4, verses 10 through 13 is our text this morning. And it says, and the Apostle Paul is speaking, he says, I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. Paul starts off by saying, I am so thankful that you guys have been concerned for me. You didn't really have an opportunity to help me. Now you do. I'm just thankful that now you know what the situation is. But then he goes on to say this in verse 11. He says, not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am in to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. There's the secret. He lays it out for us. And this morning we want to kind of walk through this, and we're going to look at it in two parts. Part one to this secret is this. It's not all about the stuff. It is not all about the stuff. You see, Satan lies to us. Satan wants us to think that it's all about things. If I can just have a little bit more, if I can just achieve a little bit more, if I can just get a little bit more in this life, then happiness is going to come. I'm going to be satisfied. But Satan presents these lies to us, and he really does it in two different forms. Lie number one that he tells us is this. He says, he gets us to believe that if I can just get a little bit more, I'm going to be content. I don't need a lot. I just need a little bit more. My house just needs to be a little bit bigger. I just need a little bit more in my bank account. I just need my friends to be a little nicer to me. I just need the preacher to be a little more interesting. I need the church to be a little more active. I need the worship services to be a little more exciting. If I can just get a little bit more, then I'm going to be content. I'm going to be happy. And folks, when you fall for that, you are falling for Satan's lie. You see, here's the truth. A constant desire for more just makes us dissatisfied with what we have. A constant desire for more in life just makes us dissatisfied with the things that we have. It's never going to be good enough when all I want is something more. Let me illustrate. I want you to imagine that you are a child and you are going trick-or-treating. Okay? Now, even if you never did that, just let's imagine here that you are a child and you are going trick-or-treating. And you've got your bag ready, you're ready to go out. What is your primary focus when you go trick-or-treating? It's just one word. Candy. Right? That is your focus. That is why you're going. Candy. And so you go up to a house and you knock on the door. And here comes this man, and he has got a gigantic bucket piled high full of your favorite candy. Whatever it is. For me, it's Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. You pick, right? It's your dream. So you pick whatever you want. The bucket is full, piled high. Hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of candy. And man, you look at that and you're like, oh boy, I have hit the jackpot. Right? I've hit the jackpot. Here it is, my favorite candy. I'm so excited. And you hold that bag out and you're just waiting. And they take one piece. And they drop it in your bag and say, you're welcome. And they walk away. Are you excited about that one piece of candy? No. No, you are not. What are you focused on? Is that it? That guy's so stingy. What? He had a whole bucket. And he gave me one piece. Do we leave there satisfied? No. What do? We leave there wanting more. Forget the fact that that man gave you something that you didn't pay for. You didn't do anything to deserve it. You didn't earn it. All you did is dressed up in, when I was growing up, we didn't even put an effort into it. We just took an old sheet and put some holes in it and put it over us and went out, right? You know, it was a gift. And yet I'm not satisfied because my focus wasn't on the gift. My focus was on getting just a little bit more. And we look at that from a child's perspective and we understand that, but how many of us find ourselves in that exact same place in our lives? Because we have fallen for this lie that I'm going to be satisfied with just a little bit more, we are always left dissatisfied with what we have. You see, most of us, if we are honest with ourselves, would acknowledge that we have enough. We have enough in life. We have what we need. And yet, how many of us find ourselves thinking, man, if I could just have a little bit more? You see, that's Satan's lie, but Satan's lie also comes in a different form, another form. Lie number 2 is Satan tells us that satisfaction comes by keeping that buyer's high. And what I mean by that is, how do you feel when you get something brand new that you've been wanting for a long time and you're all excited about it? Don't you have that little bit of just a thrill about it, you know? You finally get it. You finally have gotten whatever it is you want. That's called the buyer's high. And what Satan wants you to believe is that when you get that buyer's high, that's where satisfaction is going to come. The problem is, once we have that buyer's high, how long does it last? I'll tell you how, for me, years ago, I had wanted a big TV, big screen TV. I would go to people's houses, I would see them with big TVs, and I was like, man, I just need a big TV. And we finally got what at that time was considered a big TV. Things have changed. But at that time, it was considered a big TV. And we got it, I brought it home, and I was excited, right? You know, I was just so excited that we've got this big TV, and I can see it, and it's awesome. And then I went to somebody's house, and they had a TV that was 3 times the size of my TV. And you know what? Suddenly, guess what I wanted? I needed a bigger TV. You know? I'm not satisfied anymore because that high has worn off. It's gone. And I'm looking for that next buyer's high. I'm looking for that next thing. I wasn't satisfied anymore. But Satan wants you to believe that if you can just get that buyer's high, that is going to give you happiness. And that's not all about purchasing some things. It's just about the idea that we want more, and just because we want more of something, once we get it, it doesn't mean the satisfaction is going to come. You know, I am on the tail end of getting my master's degree. I hope to be graduating in May. And I'm getting a degree in counseling, and a number of my classes I've had to read case studies, and they're case studies of different counseling sessions and different clients with different issues. And recently I came across a case study about a woman who had a shopping addiction. Now, I'm sure none of you here have ever dealt with that, but you may know of somebody who has. And this woman, she had a true shopping addiction. She was addicted to buying clothes. And as a matter of fact, she was so addicted that not only were her closets overflowing with clothes, she had filled her garage from floor to ceiling. She had filled her guest bedroom from floor to ceiling. When that all got filled, she had a two bathroom house, and so in her guest bathroom, she filled the bathtub floor to ceiling. When that got filled up, she then went into her kitchen, got rid of most of her dishes, and filled up the cupboards with clothing. So she obviously had something going on, right? She had an issue. Well, in the case study, the counselor, in his note-taking, he recorded several quotes, and this is one of the quotes that this woman made in her counseling session. She said, "When I am out shopping, a voice in my head tells me that I have found the perfect dress or the perfect pair of shoes. And so I buy them. When I get home, I realize it isn't perfect. It is just like all the others in my closet. So the next day, I am right back out looking for something better." Now we look at that and we say, well, obviously she has an issue, right? But how many of us find ourselves in our lives just constantly looking for something better? I've known over the years people who have gone from congregation to congregation to congregation to congregation because they're constantly thinking there has to be something out there better than what I have. I'm not satisfied. I've seen people go from job to job to job to job because they're constantly looking for something better. I've seen people go from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship because they're looking for something better. You see, what Satan wants us to believe is that initial buyer's high is going to give us satisfaction, but here's the truth. The truth is that each buyer's high decreases my satisfaction by increasing my appetite. You see, once I get that big TV, guess what I suddenly want? A bigger one, right? The first 2 years that I was here, I wanted a truck, a pickup truck. Why? Because everybody else had one. You know, I live in Citrus County, you got to have one, right? And I wanted a pickup truck. I got one. It's a nice one. And it's red. Some of you, that drives you all crazy. I'm sorry. But at least you know when I'm coming. But you know what I want now? That one just doesn't have a big enough engine. It has a 6-cylinder, and it may get good gas mileage, but you know, it's just a 6-cylinder. I need something a little bit more powerful. Why? Who knows? I'm a preacher, right? But in my mind, I'm not satisfied with that anymore. What's happening? Well, when we live life based on that buyer's high, when we get what we think we want, we end up just having an appetite for something more. We are never going to be satisfied when we fall for Satan's lie that it's all about the stuff. You see, the message that the Apostle Paul has in Philippians 4 is it actually has nothing to do with the stuff. It is not about the stuff, but here's part 2 of the secret. While it is not about the stuff, it is all about being content with what you have. It is all about contentment. And contentment is really a condition of the heart. It's about the state of the heart. We're going to read this passage once again, Philippians 4. We're going to start in verse 11. But I want you to really listen, and I want you to really focus on the heart condition that we're called to have. He says, "Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am in, or I am, to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." You see, contentment is really all about understanding that what I have is enough. It's sufficient. what I have in life is enough. Now, is it wrong to get new things? Is it wrong to have a desire for new things or other things? No, it's not wrong, as long as that's not our focus. Contentment is understanding that what I have is enough. You know, I have to constantly remind myself, my truck is enough. It's all I need. It's actually more than I need. You know, it is enough. Now, I look at other trucks, and, you know, some of you all have gone out and bought new trucks, and I'm looking at them like, well, you know, that's a nice truck. But my truck's enough. We look at all kinds of situations in our lives, and contentment is us recognizing that what God has given us, it's enough. It is sufficient. You know, most of us tend to be controlled by our circumstances. If things around us are going well, then we feel what? We feel good. If circumstances around us are going bad, then we feel bad. You know, that's just natural. We have a tendency to be controlled by our circumstances. You know, oftentimes when we come in to the building, most of us will ask the other, well, how are you doing? And most of the time we say, oh, I'm doing good or I'm doing great. But every once in a while we'll say, oh, I've had a rough week. I'm not doing good. Well, why? Well, what do we start doing? We start telling people about our circumstances. What we've been through that then dictates our emotion. That's natural. We all deal with that in life. But Paul says, you know, I find satisfaction in my life regardless of my circumstances. Paul says, I find satisfaction in my life regardless of what is going on around me. Why? Because contentment is forged in the fires of life. Contentment is forged in the challenges that we face. Paul said, I know what it is to have plenty, and I know what it is to have little. I know what it is to have a lot in life. I know what it is to go wanting or to have need. But God had taught him through experience that it's not about any of that. God had taught Paul through the fires of life that it's not about all of that stuff. And why is that important for us to understand? Why does that matter? You might be sitting there this morning saying, well, Bill, you know, why are you talking about contentment? I'm talking about contentment today because contentment is a critical component to our journey of faith. If we're going to walk right with God, we need to be content. Let's look at what Paul tells Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through 10. 1 Timothy 6, beginning in verse 6, says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. Notice here how he connects living a godly life to contentment. He says, godliness with contentment is great gain. But then verse 7, he says, for we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. Now notice here, Paul does not say it is a sin to be rich, financially or physically rich. He doesn't say it's a sin to have wealth. He says it is wrong to make that our primary desire, to make that our primary focus. You know, I've had people that I've talked to over the years that, you know, just work themselves to death. And, they've got a lot of money, they're doing well in life, but they just keep working. And you ask them, why are you working so hard? You have everything that you need. And their answer is, well, I just need to leave something for my children. I just need to leave something for my kids, and so I'm working to leave them something. Folks, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. It's not going to do anything in life. If we make that our primary focus, we're never going to be content. You see, the real secret is that contentment, true contentment, is only found in Christ. The Apostle Paul gave us the answer in Philippians 4 and verse 13. He said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You see, that's the secret. And it's not even a secret. but that's ultimately the answer is, how do I deal with contentment? You see, we have a tendency to take this one verse and pull it off by itself, and people say, well, I know I can accomplish anything because I have the strength to do all things through Christ who strengthens me. While that is true, we have to remember what he's talking about. Specifically, in this passage, he is talking about the struggle with being content with what we have. How can I find a place in my life where I recognize I have enough and I can be content with that? When I focus on Jesus Christ. You see, I can do any of those things through Christ who gives me strength. And so when my focus is on Jesus Christ, then I can do those things. Now, with that in mind this morning, I want us to try to apply this and make it applicable to our lives. And so we're going to spend the remainder of our time, just a few minutes, but spend the remainder of our time looking at 4 points of application. The first one is this. I challenge you to make Christ the focus of your affection. To make Jesus Christ the focus of your affection. The reality is most of us, if we are truly honest, we will recognize that there are a lot of other things that we have affection for in life. And our affection sometimes is spread very thin. If you want to truly manage contentment in your life and know how to be content with what you have, make Christ your focus. Because you see, when Christ is the focus of my life, I'm always going to have enough. He promises me, I will fill you up with what you need if what we need is always Jesus Christ. Number 2, try to replace this idea of what I need or what I want with I am thankful for. You know, children are famous for this. My boys were very good at this. You know, Dad, I need this. I need that. And they just needed all kinds of things. Very few of them did they actually need. Most of the things that they thought they needed, they just wanted, right? You know, they kind of lost me on the I need a PlayStation thing. But, you know, that's you know, I need. And we look at children and say, oh, yeah, that's kids. But how many of us find ourselves saying to ourselves, I need this. Or my family needs that. Or we need to achieve this. Or we need to be able to do that. What are we thankful for? You see, when we stop focusing on our need, what we think are our needs or our wants, and instead focus on what we think we are thankful for, it changes our whole focus. So change our focus into what we're thankful for. Number 3, stop torturing your heart with stuff. You see, when our focus is all on what I can get, my focus is also going to be on what more I can get. it will never be enough. Stop torturing yourself with all the stuff. One of the things that I do every now and then is I go through and I just kind of pair stuff or kind of declutter stuff. And Brenda's really good at it. She's a lot better at it than I am. But one thing I have, I don't know if, does anyone here have a junk drawer? I've got a couple of them that are my junk drawers, and I fill them with everything that I need, right? And then every once in a while I'll go through and I will pull out everything that I don't need, and I usually end up having 2 or 3 items left in there, right? But up to that point it's like overflowing with stuff, of all the stuff, but it's called a junk drawer for a purpose, right? There's a reason. But sometimes we need to do that with our own lives. We need to stop torturing ourselves with our focus on stuff and declutter our lives. And that leads us to the final point this morning, and that is find satisfaction in things that truly last. The things of this world, the stuff that we try to fill our lives with, that stuff is not going to last. Focus on the things that will. Christian relationships, spiritual growth, serving others. Focus on those things that are truly fulfilling, those things that will truly bring contentment to your life. The world is always going to try to sell you on the next great secret. The world's going to try to sell you on the next best thing. How many of us have fallen for the secret to weight loss? Or the secret to hair growth? Or the secret to getting rich quick. They really need to change that word secret in all 3 of those to the baloney. Because that's what it almost always is. There's no magic secret. The only thing that matters is the secret to being fulfilled in Jesus Christ. And as we've already said, that is not even a secret. It is available to every man and woman. What does it mean to be fulfilled in Christ? It starts with being content with what we have in this life so that we can focus on what matters, and that is seeking more of God. As a Christian, I'm never going to have enough of my relationship with God. I'm always going to be looking for more of that. But what I have in this life, it's more than enough. It is sufficient. For I have learned, in whatever situation I am, to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And here's the secret. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. This morning, are you running with the secret? The answer is focus on Christ and be content with what you have in this life. If you're subject to the invitation, we invite you to come as we stand and as we sing.